Chris, it appears that this was a fairly, until they got into the air, that this was a fairly careless group of people. 400 FBI agents were sent to Florida because two of the hijackers, we believe two who died in this hijacking, took pilot training down there and lived in the area and were out drinking in recent weeks. NBC's Kerry Sanders has been keeping track of their activities as he has been able to piece it all together. Kerry?
Well, just a short distance from here at the FBI headquarters in North Miami Beach, the agents were in Hollywood, Florida again tonight, serving yet another search warrant, going into an apartment complex, calling in local law enforcement to also assist them to dust for fingerprints. They left with several boxes of evidence, bringing them back here. The attention really focusing on one person, Mohammed Atta, 33 years old, somebody who they know because they've seen his name before, linked to a bombing of a bus in Israel in 1986. Well, Tom, we've moved down now to the FBI headquarters here in North Miami because a material witness has been flown into this area now and brought to the headquarters here. We don't have much more information on who was brought here or why. Meantime, the FBI task force that is set up here looked over the passenger manifest, and when they looked at it, some counter-terrorist agents saw a name there, and it jumped right off the page at him, Mohammed Atta. They linked him to a suspected car bombing or bus bombing in Israel in 1986.
Scrutiny of those passenger lists leads the FBI to this flight school in Florida, where officials say they believe at least two of the terrorists received pilot training during the past year. A man who worked at the flight school says he allowed both of them, who described themselves as Germans, to briefly live with him and his wife.
While they were here, I know that they had used this address initially, and I know that because I would get insurance renewals for them addressed to them at this address for that call.
33-year-old Mohammed Atta on the flight manifest of one of the suicide flights. One of those who the FBI suspects took the controls of the hijacked jet. Where did he learn to fly? Venice, Florida. Visited today by FBI agents who carted away at least 8 boxes of records. NBC News has learned those records show Atta and his cousin, Marwan al-Shahi, spent 7 months in training here. Employees at the flight school say money never seemed to be an issue for them. The cost, $25,000 each to get a commercial flight rating. The plane Atta and his cousin flew to get their FAA certification, this Piper Seneca. The FAA's designated pilot examiner says he barely remembers either man from their 3 flight tests late last year. Were Atta and his cousin legally in this country? That's something the FBI is now tracing. But flight school owner Rudy Dekkers says he was suspicious.
We don't think that these people came in a normal way, not that we can know that. But the normal way is that they get a permit to enter. And a few of them are in reviews in the last couple of years, and that's okay by us. These people came at our door and wanted to get training done. And you know, what can you do? I mean, for us, it's a customer.
The FBI today visiting an apartment in Coral Springs, Florida, where Atta once lived.
Can you tell us if you found anything?
No, ma'am, no comments today.
At the same time, in Hamburg, Germany, another address used by Atta. Police there leaving with evidence. By all accounts, in Germany and in Florida, Atta and his cousin kept to themselves, except for last Thursday at this bar in Hollywood, Florida. It's believed both men came in, drank heavily, and then refused to pay the bill. FBI agents showing Atta's passport photo to bar staff and listening to the manager recount the argument.
If there's an issue where you can't pay your bill or something, just tell me, okay? Let's stop, you know, let's cut to the chase here. And the guy got like very, very offended, and he said to me, he said, "Oh, I can pay my bill. I'm an airline pilot." And I was like, "Okay." And that's what I told the FBI agents, and they were like, "Oh, really?"
Now, WTBJ, the NBC affiliate in Miami, has since spoken tonight to a man who says that these names didn't mean much to him until he thought for a moment and realized these folks, Mohammed Atta and Marwan al-Shahi, the cousin, after they left Venice, Florida, came here to South Florida and took 3 separate classes in a flight simulator to learn to fly a 727. Now, it's important to note that's a very short period of time. The 727 is different than a 757. There's analog gauges in a 727. In a 757, it's much more sophisticated. But the gentleman, the experienced pilot who gave them these training classes, said that it would be enough to get into the 757 and be able to man the controls of a 757 and direct that plane. Now, just a short time ago, brought in here to the FBI headquarters on the back of a flatbed truck, a vehicle. The license plate had been removed. It's a little Escort, I believe, a Ford Escort that was brought in here. The FBI was contacted tonight after Mohammed Atta's picture was shown on NBC, and somebody at a car rental agency said, I know that guy. I rented him a car, and I rented it to him just several days ago. So the FBI went up there. They've pulled the records. They've been able to find out that the car was indeed rented to Mohammed Atta's cousin, Marwan al-Shahi. They brought the car down here. They're going to try and process it here. They do have some records, like the visa number for the Visa card that he used, but at this point they're in the process of trying to take all these pieces and put them together. But I think, as you pointed out, Tom, there seems to be a wealth of a trail here after the fact. But as much as the agents will be able to sort of put it all together, the real question is, where does it lead to people who are still alive? Because it's believed these people died in the suicide crashes.
And does it, in fact, lead to Osama bin Laden, who is the #1 suspect in the minds of just about everybody in law enforcement agencies, national security advisors to the president himself, and others, although they're not talking about that publicly at this time? That's the next connection that has to be made.